Madam Chairperson and Assembly members, my name is Dan Lynam and I am very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today. I was born into a farming family in 1952, that gives away my age. Having worked as a full-time farmer since I left school, my family have farmed this land for at least 5 generations. In my opinion, making a decent living from farming has always been a challenge, but never has it been as great as it is now. The rules and regulations stack up against us. The paperwork associated with traceability is relentless. The cost associated with producing an animal spirals, while you can never be sure what you will get from the factory at the other end. But above all, we find ourselves more and more under direct attack from outside forces. It is as we are the bad guys. The truth is, farmers work harder and longer hours than any other profession. The food that appears on the shop's shelves do not get there by magic, as many customers seem to think. It is a hard graft 24/7. And that takes me to the first 2 photographs of the wildflower garden at the front of our house and the organic potatoes that I grow every year myself. So I do work for diversibility. We farmers are well aware of the importance of biodiversity, and we are prepared to do what we can to promote it. Let me give you some examples from our own farm. In 2018, when the ASAP programme was announced, I became the representative for Westmeath and Offaly on the ASAP programme. And I was very willing to allow our farm to be the first farm walk, river farm walk in that area. And on that day, we had officers from Teagasc, ASAP and LawPro. And we had 25 farmers listening to what they were proposing to help associate with biodiversity and the habitat improvement. The farmers in question were very keenly interested in hearing the recommendations that were put forward. And for ourselves on our farm, there was 3 recommendations. Number 1, at the shoulders of the year to keep back at least 30 metres from vulnerable areas when we were spreading slurry. Number 2, a silage pit which we had almost ready to build, we were advised to move it to a different area, which we did. Number 3, the existing cow roadway was recommended that it was too close to the river. So we were advised, recommended, to move it back 50 metres further at considerable cost, and we did this. And all this action with no reward from anybody cost us at least 10 grand. Over the years, we took part in REPS schemes and more recent in GLOS schemes. And that resulted in 2 kilometres of hedgerows being planted on our farm and 2 kilometres of river fencing being done. And the next slide shows that some of the trees that I planted on the right-hand side there were planted in the last 20 or 30 years, and they're advanced trees now. And, well, there's no hedges there, but if we were rewarded down along that cow roadway, we could plant a hedge. But it's very costly. Bird boxes were placed in various locations throughout the farm, and also areas were left set aside for wild bird cover. We agreed to postpone mowing meadow until after July the 1st under this scheme. An important fact worth noting is that we have 680,000 kilometres of hedgerows in Ireland, far more per actually acre than any other country in the world. The majority of those hedgerows were planted by current farmers or by our farmers in our older generations, and they're now being looked after with extreme care. On my farm, my son and myself farms together, and it now takes has to support 2 households. He works every hour that God sends to try to support a young family, often not quit until 9 p.m. at night. This puts huge pressure on a young family. There is also extra work that has to be done. He now needs to put an underpass that the cows can go safely across the road, under the road. He also needs, for good health of the calves, to build a new calf shed. All this costs a lot of money. And our department are bringing out new schemes with very little reward. Instead of maybe 15,000 per farmer for this new acre scheme or agri-environment scheme, they're given 7,300. And only 10% of the people that go into that scheme are eligible to get the top amount of money. So when you take costs, you're down to about 3,000 euros for a farmer in that scheme. That is no good nowadays. It's not worth. Okay, thank you.